Welcome to the video, guys. Today we're going to be playing more Minecraft and reading some more Reddit stories. Let's go ahead and get started. Am I the asshole for reporting the autistic kid in my class? Okay, this is going to be a good one, I can already tell. I, 17 female, started college last year, and since then there has been this boy who we'll call Adam, who is also 17. Who has severe autism and has been increasingly unbearable to be around. Aside from interrupting classes to ask stupid questions, watching YouTube in class, and then complaining about not understanding what's going on, expecting everything to be spoon fed to him, and just being irritating in general, Adam's behavior has been growing more and more inappropriate. Sometime last year, my friend Zoe, 19, had the misfortune of being sitting next to him for a class. She looked over and saw him looking at some super kinky adult content on his laptop while rubbing his crotch and low-key, high-key thrusting it into his hand. That is, in school, is wild. I feel bad for her to this day. Either way, since that first incident, my classmates and I have been seeing explicit materials displayed on his screen whenever we happen to look over, and maybe occasionally bolded the project/assignment we were given to work on in class, though of course barely touched. Doesn't the teacher do anything? Is it not obvious, bro? Okay, let's keep on going. Some people took photos and videos to make a report, but were told by our class academic advisor, Mr. Thomas, to delete them. Other teachers have also told us to just quote-unquote ignore him whenever someone made a complaint. If you guys do that, and when he leaves school, he's gonna be in for a rude awakening. But let's keep on going. Along with all of this, Adam has a history of throwing a hissy fit whenever teachers refuse to spoon feed him answers/solutions to issues faced during project work. The teachers are not just being mean, by the way. Adam will run into a tiny error like forgetting the semicolon at the end of his C# code, but will not even attempt to understand what's wrong and immediately go to pester the teachers who are helping other students with actual problems. He'll then proceed to go back to the teacher every 5 minutes and say verbatim, excuse me, I'm waiting. Okay, he's kind of funny though. And after about the third time, he'll start yelling and cussing. Over the last few months, these tantrums have been increasing in frequency, probably because the content has gotten harder and the teacher's patience with him is running thin. If I was a teacher in that situation, I wouldn't be a teacher for long. That's all I'm gonna say. A couple days ago in class, we're in the middle of a project crunch time, by the way, a similar situation, and him and Mr. Thomas got into a screaming match. I have ADHD, and the sensory quirks that came with it are the audio flavored kinds. Something about Adam's voice is like nails on a chalkboard for me and physically makes me uncomfortable. And while I can usually white knuckle it, that day's tantrum was long and loud, and I was already stressed out from projects. Despite putting on headphones and turning up the volume, he was literally screaming so loud that I couldn't drown it out. Long story short, I got overstimulated and had a panic attack, and had to go across the class where Zoe was to calm down. Zoe has similar issues but has medication and also has more experience with coping methods. That day, Zoe was fine in class and comforted me and went home and ended up crying to her mother about the situation. While I also told my mom about what happened, both our moms lodged a complaint against Adam's behavior and the teacher's year-long lack of action. Today, we found out that Mr. Thomas is facing possible termination for covering up Adam's bad behavior. Aside from protecting Adam, which I would never understand, agreed. He's a good teacher and a nice person, and my entire class really likes him, so I'm starting to feel bad. Mr. Thomas mentioned pitying Adam and feeling that it's unfair towards him to get take action against them, even though everything Mr. Thomas and Adam's parents tried has not led to any improvements. If anything, the lack of significant consequence for his actions has likely only reinforced his behavior. Mine and Zoe's mom have said that even though it's important to accommodate those who have special needs, it shouldn't fall on other students to tolerate consistent and appropriate behavior. So, am I the asshole for reporting him? My opinion, definitely not. Um, at that point, he is just being annoying just to be annoying. Even though he is autistic, there's autistic people who are high functioning at least that wouldn't do or even think about doing this. I know sometimes they have panic attacks and wild out, but to this extreme and them being in college and just ignoring what everyone else needs are, that's really bad. But let's go ahead and go to the updates, which happened 2 weeks later. And before I start into this, I just got an idea. How did he even get into school in the first place if he's being spoon fed everything? One, his parents own the school, or two, they're related to the president or something. There's no way. But even okay, never mind. Let's just keep on going. This is 2 weeks afterwards. So most people on my last post said I'm not the asshole, which I appreciate because I felt like I was going insane. But despite that, I still feel like I'm going insane. Because people tell me why it feels like the people in authority have less of a grasp on boundaries than a bunch of teens. A couple days after the report, the manager for my diploma course came into my class while Adam wasn't there. And you know what she does? Instead of telling us what exactly is being done with Adam so we don't feel like we're being ignored, Miss Jones goes ahead and starts lecturing the entire class on taking photos and videos of others and ganging up to bully a disabled student, and how those are bad and we could get in trouble for that. There's no way. Miss Jones, I'm disappointed. I can't even describe how much I wanted to get up and scream at her and somehow drill it into her thick skull that we're basically being sexually harassed. But whatever, that's beside the point. Either way, I gave up on listening to her the moment she started talking about gang bullying. So I go home and start ranting to my mom about that, and she's getting pissed off with the management in my school. So she basically starts taking notes so she can have like ammo for their upcoming meeting. Fast forward to the meeting with Mr. Thomas and Mrs. Jones, and right off the bat, before my mom even said anything, Mrs. Jones was immediately on the defensive and started over-explaining how much school is doing behind the scenes to manage Adam. Even Mr. Thomas didn't manage to get a word in either. My mom called them out on that and they kind of backpedaled like, okay, sure. Yeah, just keep digging your grave there, bud. Another point was that when my mom brought up the ... rubbing, Mrs. Jones said something along the lines of, I understand, but his hand is outside of his pants and his membrane's still inside. And my mom was just dumbfounded. Like, okay, you're going? Bro, that literally doesn't matter. He's still getting off to literal porn in class. Honestly, the entire meeting was such a bad show, but either way, my parents came home and told me that even after all that talking, Mr. Thomas isn't going to be fired, which I'm perfectly fine with, but Adam ain't getting kicked out either, which I was upset about for a while because I genuinely can't stand being around him anymore. But whatever, can't always get what you want, I guess. So anyway, I think some of the parents are going to be starting a petition to get him expelled or at least removed from the class, but we'll see how that goes. I know there wasn't much interaction on my previous post, but I'm thankful for the responses nevertheless. That I really hope that petition works out for you. If not, I hope he just stops showing up, or who knows, maybe he decides to be a chef. He doesn't want to be a programmer anymore. You won't see him, but he'll see him at the restaurant you eat though. So, is it really a win or not? But let's go ahead and move on to the next story. My future mother-in-law is threatening to not come to our wedding because of my gay maid of honor. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm typing on my phone, so sorry for any mistakes. So anyway, onto the story. My wedding is coming up next year and we're having a small ceremony. My fiance and I met in the city and university, but he's from the country in Australia, where I'm from the city. We decided to have the wedding in his hometown as most of his family is there, as well as his dying grandmother. We can't really do a trip to the city. My side of the family was extremely abusive to me when I was younger, and as soon as I was old enough, I made sure they never entered my life again. Lives, bro? Oh yeah, multiple people. I've of course chosen my maid of honor to be my best friend. Now, I love my best friend to pieces. This girl's like my rock, and honestly, we have gotten each other through some of the toughest times in our life. Now, my best friend is gay and is a really butch lesbian, so no way in hell was I going to get her in a dress to be a bridesmaid. Cool. That's completely fine with me. We were planning to get her a suit, the color of the bridesmaid dresses, and she was cool with it. I don't want her to feel uncomfortable throughout the whole day in a dress, as I want everyone to have a good time. Hey, that's a nice friend. My fiance and I decided to go visit his mother this weekend. Now, my mother-in-law honestly terrified me at first because she's extremely conservative, traditional, and religious. I'm a city girl who works full-time and is pretty much in control of her own life. As you can tell, we could have many differences. However, my initial fear, we found common grounds and became friends. She sacrificed a lot of my fiance as she was a single mother. His father died in an accident, and I respect the hell out of her for that. So, here's my issue. Well, from the title, it seems like she's just not gonna like that her friend is gay. Unfortunately, getting a suit the same color as the bridesmaid dresses I want is a real hassle to do, as I'm really specific with the color I want. Can't you just spray paint it the color you want? And then, I don't know. I feel like it's possible though. Or go to Home Depot and have them color match the color. I know they can do it with the machine. And just paint the suit. Problem solved. Continuing. My fiance went out to get some groceries, and I was telling my future mother-in-law about this, and she laughed at me and asked why I had to buy a suit. I explained the story of my best friend because she had no idea who my friends are and whatnot, because we don't live close to each other to talk often. Her face dropped when I explained my friend was a lesbian. Just wait until she finds out it's a butch lesbian. But enough of the tangent. At first, she asked if I had any other friends that can replace my friend in the bridal party, and was confused why she asked that. I innocently said no and asked her why, thinking that she was going to say it's a hassle to get the suit. She got furious and said it wasn't right that my friend be in the bridal party, as we were having a religious ceremony. She said that my friend would ruin the whole wedding by being there, and that I should remove my friend from the bridal party altogether. Now, I don't let anyone talk shit about my friend. She's basically my sister, and I was furious that my mother-in-law had even said this to my face. I exploded at my mother-in-law. I basically said that my best friend is like my sister, and I'm not gonna let you talk shit about her while she's not around to defend herself. She's a lovely person, and if you weren't so judgmental, maybe you could realize this instead of looking at her with a clouded view. It doesn't matter that she's gay. She's just a normal person to me, and I love her like a sister regardless if she's scared or not. There's no way I'm kicking her out of my brother party. Now, normally I'm pretty quiet and reserved because I like to think before I talk, so my mother-in-law was not expecting this. After I finished talking, she started yelling at me, telling me that I was going to go to hell with my friends. Okay, that's wild. At least she stood her ground though. She wasn't going to watch her son get married to a bee like me. I wasn't encouraging him to grow in Christ, so therefore she wasn't going to go to the wedding if my friend was there. So no way I was going to argue with this bee over this. She obviously wasn't going to change her mind, and I simply don't argue with stupid people. I called my fiance and explained what happened. He said he was so sorry that this happened, and he'll try to talk to his mom, but if she isn't coming to the wedding, so be it. I said I was also going for a walk, which is what I'm doing now. I don't know what to do. I love my fiance and it's reassuring that he will take my side, but I know he will be greatly saddened if his mom chooses not to come. At the end of the day, this woman raised him, and I know nothing will make him happier than seeing his mom at his wedding. However, there's no way I'm kicking my friend out so this lady can come to my wedding. My friend was with me though through my abuse I suffered, and has basically held my hand through every hard point in my life. There's no way I'm kicking her out to please my mother-in-law. Oh yeah, you mother-in-law is not coming to the wedding, but let's see if that's true. This is the update. This is the next day. Alright, hi guys, thank you for your support. I went through all of your replies, and I was so thankful you guys wanted to help me out. Some of you guys asked for an update, so I decided to keep you guys updated. So firstly, I called my best friend and told her about the situation. My best friend has been the sweetheart. She felt terrible and even offered to sit out at the wedding because there was no way I was allowing that. She said she felt bad, and I told her not to apologize for her being her. I did warn her to avoid my mother-in-law if she decided to come at the wedding at all costs, because I don't want my mother-in-law to try and exorcise that, okay, her or something. Also, thank you for the suggestions for the suit. Lastly, ladies, she's single and lovely. Winky face. Some of you might disagree with what I did, but I think it's important I did this. So my mother-in-law is extremely stubborn, and I figured out I would need to be the better person. I asked if I could talk to her privately, and we had a little chat. I said to her that I love her son and am thankful for the man she raised. I respect her greatly for the job she did with my fiance, and I would love to have her in our lives. I also explained that I didn't have the best upbringing, and my best friend honestly was the one who got me through those times. I didn't apologize for my outburst at my mother-in-law. I explained I felt like she was attacking my family, which is why I got so angry. She was very quiet and explained that she was upset because she felt like her son was slipping away from her, and that probably contributed to her anger. She also explained that in her tough times, her faith is really what held her through, which is why she's so religious and whatnot. She said although she was uncomfortable with my friend in the wedding, she would still come and be supportive because she knew how much her son loved me. At the end of it all, she said she was sorry to me as well, and we basically forgave each other. Nevertheless, I'm sure she's going to be a crazy bee in the future, but it's good we shut this down early so she knows we don't accept her behavior. Afterwards, my fiance thanked me for being the better person. He said he understood that his mother was crazy sometimes, but at the end of the day, she's his mother and he loves her. He wants her to be in his life. I explained to him also my fear that she may be this crazy if it comes to other things in our lives, and we agreed that if something like this happened again, we would have each other's back. We went out for lunch and enjoyed the rest of the day. Thank you everyone for your support. Okay, that was such a good ending. Glad the mother-in-law stepped up, became an adult, and that the lesbians able to go to the wedding. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining me reading these stories and seeing some Minecraft gameplay. I will catch you guys on the next video. Thanks and subscribe. Bye.